Hey everybody, day 9, Secure, Path to Peace. It's on Amazon if you'd like it. We're on chapter 2, page 44. Faith in the unknown. Throughout history, some of the most influential people didn't start with certainty. They started with a calling. Joan of Arc was a peasant girl born in 1412 in Domremy, a small French village caught in the chaos of the 100 Years' War between France and England. By every social and political measure, she was no one. She had no education, no military background, and no power. She didn't understand why God would call her. She even tried to ignore it for a time. She once said that she first heard the voice. She was frightened and unsure. But over time, she began to trust that it came from God. In her world, war was for men, strategy was for scholars, and leadership was for nobles. Yet this young girl decided to obey what she believed God had asked her to do. She said, "I'm not afraid. I was born to do this." It's easy to romanticize that statement today, but at the time it was radical. No one believed her. Her neighbors laughed. Local clergy dismissed her. When she first approached Robert de Baudricourt, I read it, doesn't mean I can read it. Anyways, that's not the book. A local military leader, and told him God wanted her to lead an army, he mocked her and sent her home, but she persisted. For 2 years, she continued to seek an audience with King Charles VII. Finally, in 1429, she was granted one. Charles, skeptical of her claims, disguised himself among his nobles to test her. Without hesitation, Joan walked directly to him and bowed, identifying him immediately as the rightful king. Charles was so moved that he allowed her to travel with his forces to the besieged city of Orleans. Against every expectation, this teenage girl, dressed in white armor, led men twice her age into battle, not carrying a weapon, but a banner. Eyewitnesses said her presence on the battlefield changed the soldiers. Her faith gave them courage, and within days they broke the siege and secured a decisive victory. It was a turning point in the 100 Years' War. Joan's leadership inspired the coronation of Charles VII in Reims Cathedral later that year. She stood nearby as he was crowned, weeping in gratitude, saying that her mission had been fulfilled. But her peace did not last long. A year later, she was captured by the Burgundians and sold to the English, imprisoned and put on trial for heresy. She was interrogated for months by theologians who mocked her visions and questioned her sanity. She was 19 years old. Even in that dark moment, Joan's conviction never wavered. When her inquisitors demanded she recant her testimony, she answered calmly, "If I am not in God's grace, may God put me there. And if I am, may he keep me so." On May 30th, 1431, she was led to a marketplace in Rouen and burned at the stake. Her last word was, "Jesus." The crowd wept. Even her executioner reportedly said he feared he had condemned a saint. 25 years later, the church annulled her conviction. Centuries after her death, Joan was declared a saint by Pope Benedict XV in 1920. Her life stands as one of history's clearest reminders that you don't need certainty to live a life of purpose. You don't need training to make an impact. You don't need everyone's approval to walk in obedience. Joan didn't know how to lead an army, win a battle, or navigate the politics of kings and bishops, but she knew the voice that called her, and that was enough. That's what it means to live secure, to act when you don't have all the answers, to lead even when you don't feel ready, and to trust that obedience is stronger than certainty. Joan's story reminds us that purpose often begins in discomfort, that peace is found in obedience, and that true security isn't built on control, it's built on conviction. The secure foundation of humility. Humility is often misunderstood. People think it means downplaying your strengths or pretending to be less than you are, but humility is simply truth, seeing yourself as you really are. A secure person doesn't need to appear flawless, they need to be faithful. When I look back on the night of that fundraiser, I realize how many times in my life I've stood in a room quietly, convincing myself that everyone else belonged there more than I did. But the more I've grown and the more I've seen is that everyone is figuring it out as they go. The most secure people I've met aren't the ones who have all the answers. They're the ones who are honest enough to admit that they don't. That honesty builds trust and it creates peace. When you stop pretending to know everything, you create space to actually learn. Joan of Arc didn't pretend to be qualified. She didn't mask her lack of experience or apologize for her calling. She simply obeyed. She stepped forward with faith that the one who called her would guide her. All right, that's day 9. Hope you had a great day. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. All right, bye.